the European Cup. A week next Saturday it starts, Saturday and Sunday in Rome at 10,000 metres. Number 5 there, John Brown of Sheffield. He's got some sort of chance. In fact, we've got a very big field indeed. We've got 20 in this, as you can see, lining up in two lines. Steve Cram getting back to form, very relaxed. Hasn't run at Crystal Palace for 5 years. And the last time he was here, I think he broke the 2,000 metre record. Metres underway, 20 in this, and the problem is, of course, they go straight into the bend, so there's a danger of a bit of a rush there, and it's Eamon Martin drawn on the inside, keeping clear of trouble. Behind him, John Brown, wearing number 5. We'll have a look at him in a moment. He used to be at University in America, wearing the yellow vest of Sheffield. He's back in the bunch behind the two Blackheath boys there. Number 4, Steve Brooks of Bingley. Won the National Junior Cross Country Championship about 3-4 years ago. Well, they've got round that awkward first bend with a big field without any problems.
Well, they've gone around without any problems, but Eamon Martin burst into the lead, just ran the first 3 or 4 paces just to get that position, and is quite happy to run at a very slow pace. The first 200 metres, 36 seconds, so they're not doing any business out there in terms of speed. And some of the others should really think about that. Eamon Martin is not renowned as a front runner, even though he's run some great times. He prefers to let others do the work for him. He's got an outstanding finish, has Eamon Martin, and that's why he doesn't choose to lead. But I mean, the point is that some of the other athletes who know they're not going to live with Cram or with Eamon Martin in a finish should really try and get a personal best time or a decent time out of this, because the conditions for 5,000 metre running here are fine. Eamon Martin looks equally smooth on the track here now as he did on the roads of London a few weeks ago when he won the glorious victory in the London Marathon. And Stevie Brooks leading, but not doing very much. 70 seconds for the first lap. Well, you know, that's not really good training speed, no, let alone racing speed.
So Brooks leads, Martin second. In third place is Cram. Fourth is Steinel of Blackheath. Tucked away on the inside, Darius Burrows in the black vest of Birchfield. But they're bunching quite a bit. 5,000 metres, 12.5 laps of the track. And of course, one always watches anxiously at Steve Cram nowadays, because that cramping muscle has given him so much trouble. Had to drop out at Aberdeen and the 5,000 metre road race, which Khalid Scar won. Well, he didn't drop out, actually. He just eased down, finished way down the field, but didn't do himself any damage. Was back in training 2 days later, and of course he went on to win the 3,000 metres at Portsmouth.
13 metres 72 for Michelle Griffith, a new UK and Commonwealth record.
Coming around to complete 3 laps. They went with a 72nd on the first lap, 68 on the second, and now improved to a 66. The leader now is Kevin McCluskey from Copeland. Ran the London Marathon last year when he finished about 23rd. But this year he's just won the Intercounties 20 miles championship. Brooks of Bingley in second place, Martin of Basildon third, John Brown number 5-4, Steve Cram on the curb in 5th place. And Steve Cram, Brendan, has been training well, hasn't he?
Well, Steve Cram says he's running as well as he has done for a while. He's had a good winter's training. He has problems with his legs, which you know, seems inevitable that he has problems with his legs when he's training hard on the track these days. But he's happy with his running, he's happy with his form. He's now started training on a cricket field so that he can run fast on flat grass without putting too much pressure on his legs. And he's happy with his racing. And he was looking forward to this race today. And he said the pressure is on the others to take it out and decide what they want to do. That lap of 65 seconds, well, at least Kevin McCluskey's injected a little bit of pace in here. And I know he wanted to do that because he wanted to give them a run for their money. And that's better running. They're starting to now move along a bit more comfortably, and they do look better at a normal racing speed. If you look at them, they sometimes are very ungainly when they're not running at their normal racing speed, like 70-second laps are not very difficult to cope with. Eamon Martin in third place, John Brown just alongside Eamon Martin, and then Steve Cram on the inside, just tracking Eamon Martin. And it'll be a very interesting later part of the race if the pace keeps like this, because Cram and Eamon Martin have both got very good finishes.
Well, the pace is pretty modest at the moment, unless McCluskey can really warm it up, because they're running around 13:40. Incidentally, the World Championship qualifying time is 13 minutes 27 seconds, and we've got quite a number of qualifiers already. There's Ian Hamer, Rob Denmark, Jack Buckner, John Nuttall, John Brown is in this race, and John Mayock. Well, now in the javelin, the track, they've got 6.5 laps to go, and McCluskey in front is really stretching them out. There's just inside a 13:40 pace at the moment. They keep on at this. They're running 66, and he just put in a 65, and the last one was another 66. So they've gone through 6 laps in 6:41. McCluskey leads from Copeland. Eamon Martin, Basildon in second place. Steve Cram, Jarrow in third. John Brown of Sheffield in fourth place, already a World Championship qualifier. And Dominic Bannister of Shaftesbury is the man in fifth place.
Well, the track runners are letting the marathon runner lead them. Kevin McCluskey. Eamon Martin now looks comfortable in second place. Steve Cram seems to be holding his hands up to try and keep them from stepping on their toes. And behind him, John Brown. So those four pulling away now, and it's going to be quite an interesting battle, this, because the pace isn't fast enough to have hurt anybody yet. They'll all be comfortable at this pace, and they certainly should be comfortable at this pace. And Kevin McCluskey, well, he's heading for a good time, and that's really all he came for. He wants to run a fast time, and he should let the first couple of laps go slowly, but now that he's going to pick it up, they've opened a gap, and the four of them are well clear. And Kevin McCluskey lapping there at 66 seconds. He'll be happy with his consistency of his pace, and he'll be happy with the outcome. He won't be desperately worried if he doesn't win the race.
No, it's still around 13:40 at best, but they will speed up, presumably. Very much so on the last lap, because we've got fast finishes there. McCluskey looking ahead can see the 5 laps to go marker. Eamon Martin in second place. Well, he's still got great finishing speed, Eamon Martin, in spite of the fact that he's stepped up to marathon running. He's not going to run another marathon this year, though. He'll go for the 10,000 metres if he's selected in the World Championship. And of course, that 10,000 metres in the European Cup final in Rome, a week on Saturday and a fortnight today.
Well, this race is just a stepping stone for Eamon Martin. He's running the 10,000 metres in the European Cup in 2 weeks' time, and this is just a step on along the way. He ran 3,000 metres against Steve Cram last week at Portsmouth, and Steve Cram out-sprinted him. Today, 5,000 metres, more Eamon's distance, and the last 200 metres, Eamon's really quick, and it would be very interesting to see them head-to-head over the last 200 metres. John Brown there must be beginning to think what he's going to do to try and win this race, and Kevin McCluskey, well, they're just leaving him to it. He's just stretching them along. He's going to be happy with the outcome from his point of view, because he's obviously in good shape after just having won the Intercounties 20-mile, 1 hour 40 minutes, which is 2:11 pace for the marathon. So that's good running by Kevin McCluskey. And Eamon Martin, he'll be confident with his finish. Steve Cram in third place, he'll be confident with his finish. And John Brown, well, I wonder what John will do. 4 laps to go. John Brown may make a move.
Well, John Brown, a Sheffield man, was at University in Iowa State. He's only 22, and he clocked his qualifying time inside a World Championship qualifying time in Edinburgh last year against the Kenyans when he finished 4th. It's John Brown, the man in 4th place. Steve Cram is really throttled back, having to resist striding out. And actually, when you step up in distance and you get a slow race, or comparatively slow race like this, it is difficult to throttle back.
Well, that's right. It's no easier running at a pace that you're slower, that you normally run faster than, because at the end, then you've got all the mental energy to worry about, how am I feeling, how's it going, what am I going to do? Whereas if it's a hard race, you can just concentrate on running fast. But this is beginning to get quite interesting now. This race is much more important for Steve Cram, and to see whether he's going to have a future at 5,000 metres than any of the others. Now, he'll be conscious of that. He'll be very aware of that. But he won't make a move yet with 3 laps to go. I wonder whether John Brown will, and I don't think Eamon will strike out. I don't think Eamon Martin will strike out a long way out, because why would you? He's got the finish.
Certainly has, whether it's 3,000 metres or the marathon. And Brown inevitably has made the break. Now, Steve Cram, I suspect, might be well pleased with that, because he's striding out down the back straight now, just closing the gap. And I don't think, with his muscle problems, he'd like to have to quickly accelerate in the closing stages with a real hard sprint finish. Perhaps like to wind it up a little bit. But certainly, Cram, with his basic speed, should, if his muscles stand up, be the fastest finisher. But Brown's made a fairly good break, and Cram is not closing the gap very quickly. Just over 2 laps to go.
Well, a positive move by John Brown. I thought he'd do something like this. He certainly had, the pressure was on him to do that. And Steve Cram is sensibly moving slowly towards him. Eamon Martin is a gap behind, and Eamon Martin doesn't look to be covering the break. 2 laps to go. John Brown running well in the lead. Steve Cram chasing him, trying to catch him. And the step up to 5,000 metres is certainly worth observation. It's certainly worth looking to see how Cram is, see how much pressure he's under.
My impression is that Cram is suffering. You may have seen that picture of his face as he crossed the finishing line with 2 laps to go, and he's under real pressure. 5,000 metres is perhaps a bit too far for him at the moment.
Well, John Brown certainly taken it to them. That lap of 60 seconds, that explains why Cram's under pressure. And 60.96 for that lap, and John Brown really stretching him now. Steve Cram with 500 metres to go, and John Brown looking comfortable. Well, John's an established distance from now. He's already qualified for the World Championships in the 5,000 metres. Now the pressure's on Steve Cram. He'll be delighted to see the bell, to see 1 lap to go. But is he going to go for it, or is Eamon Martin going to catch him? So the pressure's now on Cram, and also, surprisingly to me, on Eamon Martin.
Well, it's clearly hurting Steve Cram. I hope his legs are okay. But he's making no impression, and Brown is going away down the back straight. Steve Cram can only run for 2nd place now, but he seems to be safe if he can keep going. But his stride's getting shorter and shorter. I hope he's not got more leg trouble. But John Brown storming away now. 200 metres left. And Steve Cram is dropping quite rapidly, but Eamon Martin not able to do much about it. So Cram aiming to finish 2nd, but John Brown, a useful addition to the British distance ranks. Now he's back from university in America. And in fact, Brown comes through to win in 13:39. It's always been around the 13:40 pace. Cram revives as he comes towards the finish, but he won't be pleased with that run at all. And Eamon Martin in 3rd place, rather surprisingly too, he found it very hard. And the very powerful